Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is Thursday, August 15th, and we are one day away from the start of the Premier League season. I am so excited. I can't wait. In fact, I've actually cooked up some bets for you, and my 4 best bets are on the way. This is going to be my new series I'm going to be starting on my channel. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comment section down below. So without further ado, let's get right into it. My first best bet is going to be a future, and it's going to be David Raya to win the Golden Glove in the Premier League, meaning that he keeps the most clean sheets in the Premier League this season. So I just don't really like to bet futures in general because I hate to wait 5 or 6 months just for a bet to cash, but I feel like this is just an absolute slam dunk spot. So let me break it down for you guys. Last season, Arsenal kept the most clean sheets as they kept 18 throughout the Premier League season. The two teams tied for second place were actually Manchester City and Everton, keeping 13 respectively. So there is room for drop off or some sort of margin of safety in terms of Arsenal just repeating to keep the most clean sheets again. Whenever you're looking specifically at clean sheets, you're not just looking at the team to keep the clean sheets. You also want to be going for keepers that are completely nailed, that are injury free and rotation free as well. So let's start with David Raya. So Raya only kept 16 of the 18 clean sheets that Arsenal kept last season because he had some issues. The first is that he was late to transfer over to Arsenal, meaning that he missed the first 3 or 4 games because he had to deal with the transfer saga from Brentford to Arsenal. In fact, he didn't end up getting a permanent move to Arsenal. He actually went on loan to Arsenal from Brentford, meaning that he also was unable to play against Brentford in the Premier League. So he wasn't completely nailed to start every single game in the Prem. However, those issues are going to be fixed this year as he's made his permanent transfer to Arsenal, and so he's going to be available for the entire season, and he'll be available to play against Brentford as well. So that's going to be a plus for David Raya relative to last season. When we're looking at defensive data, I think the most important metric is going to be expected goals conceded. So Arsenal did keep the most clean sheets, keeping 18 throughout the season, and they conceded expected goals of 28. And that was the first best in the Premier League. And there was a large margin between first and second, where Manchester City were in second place, 30% behind, conceding 36 expected goals. Now, the team that actually was tied with Man City in terms of keeping the same amount of clean sheets was Everton, where they were 6th for expected goals conceded, conceding 56, meaning that they were 100% worse than Arsenal. So I'm not really worried about Everton keeping the most clean sheets next year in terms of Pickford battling David Raya for the Golden Glove. I just feel like there's levels to this, and I'm more so just concerned about what Manchester City will do. The positive of a Golden Glove bet is that you're not just betting on a team, you're betting on a goalkeeper. And I think there is an interesting dynamic that's been evolving at Manchester City in their goalkeeper position. This is just my personal opinion, but I think that Ortega is a better shot stopper than Ederson. In fact, the data actually backs that up. So Ortega over the past 2 seasons has a very strong expected goals prevented. So expected goals prevented is looking at the goals that they should have conceded minus the goals that they actually did concede. And if it's a positive, that means that they were good, and that means that they saved more goals and they conceded less than they should have. So over the past 2 years, Ortega is at plus 5.0, meaning that when he starts, Man City concede 5 less goals. However, Ederson over the last 2 years is actually -6, meaning that Man City have actually conceded 6 goals more whenever he's played. So I'm just not even sure if Ederson is a better keeper than Ortega. In fact, a lot of fans that watch Man City also feel the same way. Another thing to keep in mind is that there is rotation risk with Man City, where Ederson has only started 33 and 35 of the remaining 38 games in the last 2 seasons. So you're not just 100% sure Ederson is going to be starting every game. Not only are Arsenal 30% better in terms of expected goals conceded data, there's also less rotation risk within the keeper position in general, and I think what Arsenal did last year was completely sustainable as long as they avoid injuries. Now, the key with Arsenal is to make sure that their spine stays intact. You've got Rice, Raya, and Saliba. If they stay fit, I would completely expect them to continue to keep the most clean sheets. Now, I think the thing is that they've actually gone out and signed another center back in Calafiori, where if Saliba gets injured, they could have a center back partnership of Gabriel as well as Calafiori. So I think they would be protected in that sense. And as long as they bring in the player that their transfer rumors are circulating around, which is going to be Mikel Merino, then I think defensively they'll still be fine. They still have Thomas Partey that can play in that CDM role as well as Jorginho. They're not as good as Rice, but I think they can do a good enough job. And again, you got to remember there is a margin for safety. They kept 5 more clean sheets relative to any other team in the league. Whenever I'm looking at the data, I just feel like there's a massive drop off, and I just only feel confident in terms of Arsenal keeping clean sheets on a week in, week out basis when I watch football games. And so I just feel like the odds in general are just skewed on this. And I just think that if the odds were closer to 2.0, then I would be avoiding this. But at 3.0, I have to go for it. There's too much value in this type of thing, and that's why I put 5 units on this. I'm usually very disciplined with my bet sizing, but I just feel like this is a slam dunk spot, and I just have to take advantage of that. Moving on to my second best bet, and this is going to be a player prop as well as a game prop. And so I'm going to be combining this into a same game parlay. The first leg is going to be Haaland to score. Now, I don't think Haaland to score should ever be at 2.0. This guy is easily the best striker in the entire world. I feel like his odds should always be around 1.5 unless he's playing against a Manchester City squad. I think the odds are just inflated because he's playing against Chelsea and you think it's a big club, but Chelsea have been in tatters in preseason. They're learning a new system that the new manager Maresca is trying to implement, and the players are just getting used to the positions and the style of play, and they've kind of been making mistakes. In fact, Man City played against Chelsea in the preseason, and Haaland had a hat trick against them. Now, of course, when something like that happens, you're probably going to go into the video room and try to fix things up, but in general, I just feel like Haaland is going to be scoring in a fixture like this. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind playing against the Chelsea squad. I just think 2.0 for Haaland to score, it's just wrong. In fact, we have to look at specifically at his data. Last year, Haaland started 29 games and got 1 goal or 1 assist in 19 of those matches. He actually played Chelsea twice last year and he picked up 2 goals against them. So it's a good fixture for him historically. And you got to keep in mind that certain players do prefer certain kickoff times. So in his Premier League career, he's had 16 starts in the Sunday kickoffs and he's picked up 15 goals and 7 assists. Bro, Haaland is an absolute monster. I'd be completely surprised if he blanked in a fixture like this. However, I'm not sure if Man City are going to win this fixture, so that's why I didn't want to include that on the same game parlay, because Rodri is supposed to miss this game. And we know how important Rodri is going to be to Manchester City's system under Pep Guardiola. I think they have a really long undefeated streak whenever he plays. In fact, whenever Rodri plays, their loss rate is at 13%. However, when he doesn't play, their loss rate increases to 40%. So that's incredible. He's like very, very important to them. In fact, I don't really need Man City to lose. I just need them to concede. And I do feel like Rodri's one of the most key players for that system. Whenever I've been researching Maresca's tactics for Leicester, as well as just watching Chelsea in preseason, they may not look great in terms of their defense, but offensively, they're fine. They have Nkunku, they have Palmer. I'm expecting Jackson to start this game as well. I think they'll find a way to score. You got to keep in mind that Palmer will have added motivation for this game. I know that he was late to preseason, and that's because he was away at the Euros, but he's going to be playing against his former team. And because Chelsea are at home, I think we can back them to score. So that's why I'm going to be backing Haaland to score and both teams to score at 2.6 on Bet365. My third best bet is going to be Alexander Isak to score or assist and Arsenal to win for the odds of 1.9 on FanDuel. Now, when I'm looking at Alexander Isak in a fixture like this, playing at home against a newly promoted team in Southampton, oh man, like my mouth just starts to water because Isak's an absolute monster. I think he's the second best striker in the Premier League, only behind Erling Haaland. Isak has really strong data that backs him up. He started 27 games last year and picked up 16 goal contributions. Just a reminder that certain players prefer certain kickoff times. So on the Saturday kickoff times, he started 23 games and got an 18 goal contributions. In fact, in home kickoffs on Saturdays, he started 13 games and got 14 contributions. So he's crazy. Like, Isak's insane. He's so consistent. He's silky. He's smooth. And they're playing against a newly promoted team at home. Now, the only thing to worry about is going to be, is this newly promoted team going to sit deep and they're going to park the bus, or are they going to play expansive? In fact, we've heard this multiple times from the press conferences, from the Southampton manager, and they're looking to use the same style of play that they had in the Championship and the Premier League, which means that they're going to try to play expansive, and that just plays right into Newcastle's hands. I think they'll probably score 3 or 4 goals in this game, and I don't really think there's going to be a doubt about who's going to win. But I think Isak himself is going to have his fingerprints all over this game. You got to remember, he's a 90-minute man on the penalties for Newcastle, and you can just trust him. The interesting thing is that they're playing against a newly promoted side, and Isak played against a newly promoted side 3 times last year and picked up 6 goal contributions. A goal or an assist for Isak would be an absolute lock for me this weekend, and I'm just going to be partnering it with Arsenal to win. I could have just done Isak to score, but I'm just a little bit more concerned. Let's say he just gets his shots on target and he doesn't get them in the back of the net. That's where I'd be a little bit disappointed, but I'm sure they'll score enough goals and he'll be involved in something. So that's why I just took the scorer assist, and I'm going to be adding Arsenal. I think Arsenal have no choice but to win this game. They've been trying to win the Premier League title for the past 3 years, and I think they've lost points against Fulhams and West Hams, and that's been the reason why they haven't won the league. But you can see that they're going to be motivated. Everybody has been back fit, ready for preseason. They're going to be fit and firing. Saka's back, Rice is back, Saliba's back. Everybody's ready and fit to go. And I'm just expecting them to win this game. However, the only chance Wolves could have won this game is if Arsenal decide to play Zinchenko at left back. Thankfully, however, even if Zinchenko starts, Pedro Neto's actually made the move away from Wolves, who was the right winger that would have been coming up against Zinchenko and who could have cooked him. But thankfully, Pedro Neto made his move to Chelsea, so I just don't really see a way where Wolves are going to score in this game at all. So I'm just going to be backing Arsenal to win. They need this. They're fighting for the title, and so I'm just expecting them to pick up the win. That should be an absolute lock. And so I just feel like I'd be completely surprised if either of these two don't hit, and that's why this is going to be my third best bet of the game week. My fourth and last best bet of the game week is going to be Nottingham Forest to win or draw versus Bournemouth. Now, this bet is not going to be as stats heavy as the other ones were, but I just feel like this is the type of spot where I feel like I want to be backing Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest know how important this game is going to be for their season. They are going to be in the relegation battle from the start till the end because they are one of the bottom 5 or 6 clubs in the league, and Bournemouth are sort of a mid-table team. However, Bournemouth have lost their striker, and I just feel like whenever I've played games and the striker within my team leaves, I just feel like we're just less connected. We don't exactly know who we're going to be playing the balls to. The Bournemouth striker is going to be one of the key players for their team. He picked up most of their goals and their assists. He was also on the penalties for them, and I feel like their style of play is going to be a little bit different. Now, they can obviously put players in those positions, but they won't be able to do what Solanke could do, and they have gone out into the transfer market and bought someone to replace Solanke, but I'm not sure if he'll be integrated right into the starting 11 immediately. And with Nottingham Forest having the 5th best defense in terms of expected goals conceded last season, and the fact that they're going to be at home, I just feel like backing them to pick up a win or a draw at home feels like the smart play to me, especially with Solanke leaving. So that's kind of why I'm going to be going with this. And the next thing I'm going to be adding to get the odds up to 2.0 is going to be Arsenal to win. Similar to what I mentioned with the Isak one, I just feel like Arsenal need this win. And so if you combine those two odds, you get to 2.0 on Bet365, and that's going to be my last best bet of the game week. This is just me coming back from the editing room, and I think I'm going to be adding one more bet to my tally, and it's going to be Spurs to win and Son to get a shot on target. And I just feel like Son is one of the best finishers in world football. If he usually gets 2 or 3 shots, you can bet they're probably all going on target. He's a better finisher than Haaland, and that's telling you a lot because Haaland's one of the best finishers in the world. So Son is on a completely different level. So I'm just going to be expecting him to be getting the shots. I don't know if he's going to get as high of the volume because I think somebody like Solanke will probably suck up the amount of shots that Spurs take. But I think Son will still get his chances. It wouldn't surprise me if he picked up a couple goals. So I think Son to get a shot on target. Spurs should absolutely dominate Leicester. Leicester have been terrible in their preseason. They actually lost the last couple preseason games. They're just not ready for the Premier League. I think they'll go sent straight back down. They've lost their coach. They lost their star player. Spurs look like they're on the up. I think betting on them to win just makes sense in this spot. I think given the addition of somebody like Solanke to their team, a lot of people are expecting them to finish top 4, and so am I. I'm a big fan of Dom and what he did at Bournemouth, so I think if he's starting in this game, that's going to be my bet. If Solanke is not starting, then I think I'm just going to not bet this at all. So just keep that in mind. I'll add it to my record if Solanke starts. So these are going to be my 4 best bets for the game week, and hopefully we get some money going into game week 1. It's always nice to start off the season on the right foot, but even if we don't start well, it's not going to be a problem. There's 38 weeks. The more time that goes by, the more data that we understand, we'll understand who are the good teams, who are the bad teams, where are the best spots to target. So I'm really not worried about it. Right now, I'm just making the bets based off of the data from last year. But as time goes on, I'm sure my spots will become clearer and clearer. And I could have put 7 or 8 different spots, but I decided to just put my 4 safest ones on the video. And if you're interested in content like this, please just hit the like button. Drop me a comment in the comment section down below. I'd love to talk with you guys and so I'm really hoping to post a video like this more often. Once a week is something that I'm really looking to do. And I just want to mention that even if the odds are shifting, for example, if you find a bet that I'm putting at 2.0 and you're getting it at 1.8, it's because I'm betting it during the week. And my bets are so good that the odds are usually just going down and down and down. I usually have a WhatsApp group with my boys where we're always talking, and I usually post my bets and everyone's sort of tailing it. So it's like, I'm not surprised. Like the spots I'm hitting are just very logical. And that's the way that I'd like to make my bets, is like, if something like this doesn't hit, I'd be completely surprised. And just some background for me, I made $10,000 betting on the Premier League and basketball last year. So I was like, why not just start my WhatsApp group? And I started posting my bets in my WhatsApp group with my friends, and everyone was making money on that. So I was like, why don't I just start like a YouTube channel and see if I can grow the community from there? So that's why I started this initiative. And the Premier League is just something I love. I watch every single game of every single team. So this is just some background on me. I'm into the data of players, teams. I follow everything for fantasy as well. So just I love the Prem, and so I'm gonna try my best to just post my bets once a week, and hopefully if I get faster and more efficient with my process, I'll be able to post these videos earlier, and maybe one day I'll be able to start a WhatsApp group so we can all get access to the bets that I'm going to be looking at and researching and monitoring, so we can all get the best odds before the market starts to decrease those odds because the spots are great. So these are just some thoughts. If you're interested, let me know in the comment section down below, and wishing you guys a wonderful game week. Hopefully the start of the season is exactly what you wanted. Take care, boys. Peace.